Hello and welcome to the channel, Flesh to the Father. Today I'm going to be explaining why Muslims do not actually love and follow Jesus. Now, to be fair to the Muslims, there is some truth in what they're saying, but they're being 50-50. They're being telling truth, but also being a little bit deceptive or not telling the whole truth. Because whilst they do love and follow Jesus, they're not following the Christian Jesus. They're following the Muslim version of Jesus, which is completely different to the Christian version. Because Muslims always like to come out and say like, oh, we defend Jesus more than the Christians. But you're not, because you're not defending the Christian version of Jesus. And a lot of Christians make the same mistake, and a lot of English people who are like, well, you know, Muslim, maybe it isn't that bad because they also follow Jesus. But they don't follow Jesus. They follow Isa, who is their version of Jesus. And if you actually look at it properly, they're actually very blasphemous against the Christian Jesus, because the Christians believe that Jesus is God or co-equal with God or the Son of God, and the Muslims don't believe that. The Muslims believe that Jesus is a prophet and that he's actually a Muslim. He's called Isa, and he's going to come back and declare that he's a Muslim and all this stuff in the end times, which is all end times prophecies from all Abrahamic religions, I believe is a load of nonsense. But this is actually the Muslims who say, oh, we love Jesus. To the Christians, your version of Jesus is completely blasphemous to deny the divinity of Christ. That is blasphemous to Christians. And I know that because I actually somewhat agree, because I love Jesus and Christ, but I always like to say that my version of Jesus is different to the Christian version. I don't believe that Jesus is God or the Son of God. I believe that he was a spiritual master and prophet, and he may have had some divinity to him, but I don't know. But I don't believe that he died on the cross to save humanity from hell and all this stuff. I believe that was dogmatic religion made up by people who just didn't quite get a spiritual message and the spiritual truths that Jesus Christ taught. But the one thing that I always do is I always say that I love Jesus, but my version of Jesus, I don't believe in the Christian version of Jesus. So I always make that abundantly clear. Whereas the Muslims don't always make it clear. They'll just say, oh, no, we love Jesus, but the Jesus is completely different. And I learned this when I was discussing with Muslims, because I'd say to them, well, how can you say you love Jesus, but you say violence is okay? And, you know, you look at the Prophet Muhammad, who he had all these wives and he was having orgies with his wives, all this stuff. And they go like, oh, yeah, we don't believe in the non-violent version of Jesus. And yeah, these things are okay in Islam because Jesus wasn't like the Christian version. So they're not actually following the Jesus of Christianity. They're following their version of Jesus. And they're fully entitled to do that. But they can't really claim that and say to the Christians, no, we love Jesus as well, because it's a completely different Jesus. It would be like me saying, oh, yes, I love Prophet Muhammad. And then saying, well, me thinking, well, I can't really follow a prophet who marries 6-year-olds and has all these wives, is a bit of a sexual pervert and spread it by the sword. It doesn't really co-align with what I want to do. So he didn't marry a 6-year-old. She was actually 60, and it was a lie created. It was a lie by the Jews, but to discredit Muhammad. She was actually 60, and they tried to make out that she was 6 and say he didn't have 11 wives. They were just his friends. And he wasn't violent. He was actually a very peaceful man. He didn't spread it by the sword. That was a lie. It was the Jews who lied. And so, oh yeah, see, I follow this Prophet Muhammad, the one who wasn't marrying all these wives. And he married just one woman who was 60-year-old. And he was a pure, peaceful man. And that's all well and good, but that's not the true Prophet Muhammad of Islam. So if I went to a Muslim and saying, yeah, I also follow Prophet Muhammad, and I say, yeah, but he's completely different, they'd say, no, you don't. You're following a completely different version. So you don't actually follow the same one that we do. And then the same way that's what essentially Muslims are doing to Jesus. They're saying, oh, we love Jesus, but the Jesus that they love is a completely different Jesus to the Christian Jesus. So it's very deceptive in a way, because they're not telling the whole story. So when you hear Muslims and secular people and even Christians say, well, you know, the Muslims also follow Jesus, understand that they don't. They don't follow the Christian, peaceful, loving Jesus. They follow a different version, and to justify the violence of their religion. Okay, so that's the point of the video. I just want to clear it up, because it's something that I hear people say a lot, but they don't understand how, to be fair, it takes a lot of research to understand the way that people think and their understanding. Okay, so I just wanted to clear that up. Like the video, like it, subscribe for more, and God bless everyone. Goodbye.